Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to a new video. And today we are going to talk about
Citizen Kane.
Yes.
So,
a little bit background for all you guys. Citizen Kane was actually made back in the golden age of Hollywood. So, it was made in 1941 by Orson Welles. And another fun fact, it is his first movie ever.
At the ripe old age of 25.
Yes. So, tell us, Ben, what do you think about the movie?
Well, I think it's needless to say that the movie is spectacular. I thought it was amazing. I got the beautiful chance to actually see it in the cinema instead of on TV. Yeah. And just, it blew my mind. It just, from the opening, that kind of gave an interesting montage of who this person was, where we get to see his entire story, and an excellent performance by Orson Welles, and all the actors who were actually not really even actors in the film were insanely good. The framing, the lighting with how all the faces were blurred, the story, like, it almost made me empathize with Trump. Like, you know how it's kind of the story of Trump in a certain way. It was based off another guy who was very much like it, but you can kind of see this kind of need for love, which we'll talk about later. What do you think?
Yeah. So, I know a little bit about the Charles Foster Kane guy, right? So basically, the Charles Foster Kane guy was based on this actual news reporter, I think, back in New York, and he was rich. He was really rich, and I think Mank, the guy who was technically wrote the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
He worked as a news reporter, and he inspired from that news reporter guy. So he wrote a story about towards Citizen Kane. But we can put aside the screenplay and the story later. We have to talk about one of the most important thing ever,
which is
cinematography.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I found like normal, that I wasn't surprised, and then I watched, I did research, and I was like, oh my god, like rewatching Citizen Kane was a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like the scene where spoiler, by the way, I forgot I was about to say that. The scene where young Charles playing snow, and then he slowly like zoom.
It was
back.
Two different shots.
Yeah.
That was insane.
So what makes Citizen Kane so important right there is this: the young Charles Foster Kane is playing with his Rosebud and Snow, right? And then we slowly pan back into the house, and then instead, like usually now or usually back then as well, they would cover, or they would create like a motion blur behind the background. But no, Orson Welles decided to keep the background in full motion, because once you go back, the fun fact about the scene too is the chair. It, like, you can open the chair, like you can split. They split the chair in half, so the cameraman could go back. So when they close the chair, you get the full shot. I think the father was in the left. The mother and the rich guy is on the right, and then Charles behind. Well, on paper, this is pretty simplistic, because now that we see that a lot. But back then, it shows a shape.
Yeah.
Where the father's on the left doesn't want Charles to go, while the mother and the guys on the right shows that, like, depicts that she wants him to go to have like a better future.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. However, Charles, the young Charles in the background, still fully focused, like it's not completely blurred yet. He is playing ignorantly, without knowing that his fate is being decided. Is being decided by his parents. Like, just the thought of that is the complexity of that is actually way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone could think of that back in the 40s. Especially they just got out of the silence era, which is insane. Yeah.
What's really brilliant about it is also like the way, because he had no idea how to make a film. He was a playwright and a kind of play director.
Yeah.
And so what he did is he watched a bunch of old German films and had like an engineer next to him and a technician kind of explain to him how every shot was done.
Yeah.
And then by doing that, he came up with all these brilliant shots. And some of them were like paintings, you know, like the opening scene where we see him, you know, mutter Rosebud. And there were so many brilliant transition shots as well. Like some of them go completely without over your head, but like at a certain point he's zooming in on a window, and then it transitions from that exact window to a reflective kind of view onto the window where we're now inside the building. I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that like adding to that too, like that's also a way to introduce the character. You know, like because like the scene where they introduce Foster Kane's wife, right?
Yeah.
Where you shoot like this I think this LED like what's it called, lights, and then it was raining, right?
Yeah.
And then the camera slowly moved past that LED and back to the building, and then slowly zoomed down and shows the wife is crying, right?
Yeah.
Like the weather to the broken LED lights to all that shows that she's broken, she's emotionally scarred, she still loves Charles Foster Kane, without saying a single word.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. But you can also see
That
like
is-
it's insane how he came up with that. And he also kind of introduced like montage slightly with like when he was talking about like how it went from, you know, him loving his wife to them kind of not loving each other anymore.
Yeah.
Like you see that still in like modern films, and that's what's just crazy.
Yeah. And it wasn't because of this film. Modern film wouldn't even come close to going
No.
to this path.
It was
And-
insane.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about Orson Welles is he learned all of these techniques in 2 days. 2 days.
Yep.
And I feel like, okay, aside from the fact that he got a Harvard scholarship, like I feel like he is a smart man.
Yeah.
But for most of us, let's just say, give the benefit of the doubt, for most of us, I think we can actually learn all those techniques if we truly love film. We can learn those techniques in a week, or maybe 2 weeks. Yeah. And he shows that all these camera movements, all these visual storytelling, can be told through your imagination. What it also means is the only thing that is limited is your imagination. Anything is practically possible now. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, you can see how that film really revolutionized filmmaking, and why it's considered one of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah. It sucks that it tanked the bomb office, because I swear I saw the trailer. I saw one of the trailer. It was not. The trailer was not actually that good.
Trailers then usually weren't that great.
Yeah, it was different.
Yeah.
Like,
what did you?
it wasn't even.
Yeah.
Go on.
I
was just about to say, like, the trailer wasn't actually showing anything about the film.
Yeah.
It was just interviews. Yeah.
What did you think of the story, the screenplay?
If I could be wrong on this, okay, because I didn't do much research, but I think Citizen Kane is the first movie that is non-linear, right? Or at least one of the first movie.
Yeah, could be.
Because I watched what's it called? I watched Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, It Happened One Night. All those movies back in the golden age. Every single one of them is like a linear story. You go forward.
Yeah.
Like there's not a single time that you go flashback. However, Citizen Kane came in and showed that you can tell a story that you can cut pieces. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you show us a reporter interview with a character, and then boom, you cut back to Charles Foster Kane.
Yeah.
And then boom, you got all that stories done. You move back, and then the reporter interview another person that relates to Charles Foster Kane. Boom, cut back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also, in a way, if you think about it, in a way, Mr. Quentin Tarantino actually used that technique as well. A lot of his films are not linear; they are cut like that.
A lot of movies are like that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
new kind of adaptive storytelling style. It's mostly used in TV shows as well.
Yeah.
To kind of have a subtext story before the actual story, so that you can kind of transition, like, oh, he does this in the present because of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you use that right, the story is just so compelling and it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can use flashbacks in such a weird way. Like, using flashback is a complex technique.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can use flashbacks like out of nowhere without giving the audience information to move forward. Then what's the point of that flashback? Just to give information just because, or just there because you feel like it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I feel about the writing of cutting and flashbacks.
Yeah. Also, like the costumes and the special effects and makeup, that was also pretty impressive. Like how they made Orson Welles look like 200 pounds.
Oh yeah, the president's
Yeah.
I searched it up. I actually searched it up, and I was like, this guy was young when he made this movie.
Yeah. The makeup was really impressive. They actually like captured what he was going to look like.
Yeah, he looked so old and sad with those makeup.
Oh my god, those eyes.
I thought he was actually like 30 there. Like he does not look 20.
No.
In his 20s.
So
throughout his whole movie.
Yeah.
Even at his peak youngest, I thought he was at his 30. Then I checked it, like, oh my god, this guy's 25.
I also like the performances were just insanely good because most of these actors weren't actually actors.
Yeah.
I think the person who stole the show for me though was the opera guy, the guy who was teaching who was teaching Kane's second wife to sing.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. Oh my god, that guy was brilliant in the film. But I think the story is also very kind of moving in the sense that you kind of empathize with someone because he was literally raised by a company. Kane was raised by a company and he never really knew what real love was. He couldn't have something he couldn't really understand. He wanted love, but he didn't know how to give it. And that's what kind of made things so sad. And we can see like in the end when he says Rosebud, it's him wishing to be a kind of a kid again. The last time he was kind of happy, you know?
Yeah.
When things were still good, but you know, now he's incapable of love, and he kind of entraps all the people who come close to them. They all love him at first, but then grow to hate him.
You know, now that you talk about it, I just realized something. I realized something interesting, really interesting. You know, the first thing the movie said was Rosebud, right?
Yeah.
The very first thing, and it ended with Rosebud as well. But instead of saying it, it's showing the audience.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the end, I watched on the computer, so my eyes wasn't actually like clear. I saw like I look at the final. I said, what is that? And then I rewatched it. I said, oh, it's a sledge.
Yeah.
No, it's Rosebud. When I watched it, I literally sat there just contemplating the whole, like for a good 5 minutes just about life. Like that's actually cut. That's cut though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole movie based on the word, and then slowly, like we don't like, despite he was playing at the sledge, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't pay too much attention about the sledge when he played as a child. We cared about the mother trying to sell the kid to a company. And then in the end, the reporter said, "Guess we never know about the sledge." And then you slowly pan, and then you zoom closer to the sledge being burned.
Yeah.
So like when he died, the sleds died as well.
Rosebud. Yeah, no, the kind of connection between the word and how was it technically meaningless, and it was kind of meaningless to figure out what was Rosebud. It wouldn't really have changed the story, but emotionally it kind of provokes you to think, oh, all he really wanted was to be a kid again. And it kind of shows, and it's also a lot about the news, this film. It kind of represents, you know, what people see people as and what they really are. You could also interpret it in that kind of sense, which is very interesting. And I think that Citizen Kane really kind of brought out this new idea of trying to bring a larger meaning to things, to kind of maybe bring the audience to think of something after the film, to keep it stuck in your head. Because after I watched the movie, it was stuck in my head for like 2 weeks. Just keep rethinking about it. Yeah.
Because I learned a lot from Citizen Kane, and I feel like let's just assume that let's just talk like daydream a little bit, right? Let's just say somehow one day we both become actual filmmakers and we actually make a feature, and then we somehow lucky enough to become a guest in a film class or in a club, right?
Yeah.
The first question I will ask all the students is, did you guys watch Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
And I will just create a whole lecture just to talk about why Citizen Kane is so goddamn important. And just how unfair the system actually is at that time. Because goddamn, I cannot believe this movie was tanked the box office. That makes zero sense.
Yeah, I think that Orson Welles didn't make a lot of money off that film.
He never, he didn't make a he tanked, all his movies tanked the box office for some reason. I don't understand why.
Yeah, it's crazy. But have you seen other Orson Welles films?
No, not yet.
I recommend you watch. Personally, it's one of my favorite Orson Welles films. It's A Touch of Evil. So maybe like once you watch that, we could talk about that, because I think that it'd be a good transition from Citizen Kane to A Touch of Evil. Also, Orson Welles, he gains a lot of weight in that film, and that's not special effects. That's actually him.
Oh my god, and oh my god, he's big.
Yeah.
Bro, that's like 200 pounds.
Yeah. He gained the weight from Citizen Kane, IRL. God damn. Anyway, do you think there's anything to add for Citizen Kane?
Well, I guess if anything, I want to add one last thing. A little bit motivational for me and you, and a little bit motivational for others as well. Is that nothing is impossible. The only thing that is limiting you to achieve something is just your imagination and yourself. If you believe you can truly do it and you love what you're doing, you inevitably will seek success. And Citizen Kane, Orson Welles says it just right there.
Especially if you have a Harvard degree.
Yes. Especially if you reject a Harvard scholarship, by the way.
Yeah, I love how that he rejected a Harvard scholarship. That's insane. That's a really badass move.
Yeah, that's the biggest flex ever.
Yeah.
That's just as hard. That's just as hard as the one scene when he said I could spend $1 million every year. Do you know how long it will take me to finish all the money? 60 years. And he just smiled.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's what you get when you're raised by a company.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. And I think we're going to be referencing Citizen Kane in a lot of other reviews we do. Because it all kind of links back to him in certain ways.
I agree.
Anyway.
Well, see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.